Hello and welcome back to Silver Age, Silver Screen, a podcast where we watch, discuss, and review sci-fi, cult, superhero, and other stereotypically geeky works. I'm your co-host, Casey Jarms.
And I'm your other co-host, Riley Thorpe.
And Riley, you know what this show has been lacking lately?
John Carpenter? I don't know. You kind of put me on the spot here.
Honestly, yeah, we should do some John Carpenter movies. But no, it's been lacking some testosterone. We need to watch a macho movie about big buff action guys fighting an alien in the jungle. And perhaps this movie could feature a famous shot where two buff dudes shake hands and it becomes a meme. We need to watch the most macho movie ever.
Well, did we?
Yeah, we watched Predator.
Oh, that's cool. It's a good movie, man.
It's a classic 1987 sci-fi film starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And Carl Weathers.
About a bunch of mercenaries fighting an alien. It's very similar to Alien, except not as good.
Well, you know, there's a lot of differences, but it does make sense that eventually those two franchises would cross over into multiple versus films, Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Both of which are completely fantastic, just like all the other Predator movies besides this one, and also kind of this one.
It's a really, really sad fact that the better of the two Alien vs. Predator movies is the one made by Paul W.S. Anderson. You know, that's a really sad fact.
Oh god, that's not good.
Yeah, no. But yeah, this movie was directed by John McTiernan. This is the movie that he did right before Die Hard. And it also stars, in addition to Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers from our awesome Rocky series. This movie also stars Jesse Ventura, who played Blaine. And I don't know if you knew this, Casey, but this movie stars two governors of very real United States.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura used to be governor of Minnesota. Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California. And then there's the rest of the cast sitting there sulking because they can't be in charge of any governments.
No, but Shane Black can be in charge of Iron Man 3 and The Nice Guys and the incredible sequel/reboot to this movie, 2018's The Predator. And we all know how that movie ended up.
It's always fun when they do a sequel that's just the and then the original's title. It's not confusing at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's always great when a movie portrays autism as the next step in human evolution. Yeah, that's the kind of movie The Predator is.
Honestly, the more you describe the sequels to this movie, the more I like it. It's good in comparison.
I mean, this movie it's a very testosterone-heavy action thrill ride. It's a very interesting character piece of cinema history in and of itself. It's interesting because this film started off a lot different than what it ended up being. Starting off, the original title was The Hunter. Then they changed it to The Predator. Then they just said, fuck it, just call it Predator. That's how we got the title. But originally, the iconic design for the Predator itself was very, very different. Instead of the giant, spiked, dreadlock face, scaly face that the Predator has, originally it was going to be like a crab praying mantis-like monster with like an orange body and just looked like this cheap, shitty B-movie that no one would remember beyond its release date. And funny enough, originally Jean-Claude Van Damme was gonna play the Predator.
Oh, good. So they upgraded Jean-Claude Van Damme to Jean-Claude Van Damme, but slightly better. Actually, wait, play the Predator?
Yeah, like the body.
Well, that makes more sense, like having the big dude who isn't a good actor be the monster instead of being the lead who's supposed to show emotion.
Yeah, I mean, if you look up pictures of the Predator's original design, it's fucking hysterical how bad it looks. And Jean-Claude Van Damme notoriously hated the suit because he's an expert in martial arts. He loves being a part of this movie, but he can't do any of his martial arts in that suit. And he thought it was best that he left the project, and it had nothing to do with the fact that the design was an absolute piece of shit.
He was replaced by Kevin Peter Hall, who plays a much better looking Predator.
Yeah, he's like 7 foot tall, isn't he?
Yeah, I do like when there's actors like that who they aren't cast in things because they're good actors. Maybe he's a good actor, I don't know. But they're cast because they're tall and good at playing suit monsters.
Yeah, the exact same thing happened in Alien that we talked about earlier.
Although this movie worked a bit better for its Alien. Ugh.
It is worth noting that the design of the Predator was changed pretty late into production, actually, because they filmed all the shots with the Predator towards the end of production because they weren't settled on that one design, thank God. And production shut down because they ran out of money. Special effects artist Stan Winston, in conjunction with James Cameron, of all people, they created the design of the Predator, which that design alone got them enough money to reshoot some scenes and finish the movie and give us Predator. So thank you, Stan Winston and James Cameron.
One more thing about this movie's development. Allegedly, the way this movie's concept came out was after Rocky IV, there was a joke in Hollywood that, oh, Rocky V is going to be him punching an alien because just the serial escalation after the bullshit that was Ivan Drago. And then this film's screenwriters, Jim and John Thomas, heard that and they're like, ooh, buff dude versus alien. And they made this movie.
I don't know if that's true, but I hope it is.
Honestly, this movie would have been better if it was Rocky V. I want Sylvester Stallone punching aliens. They even have Carl Weathers. Like, why isn't this a Rocky movie?
Because Carl Weathers' character was dead by then in that Rocky series.
Oh, please, have the aliens bring him back so they can have a 2v2 tag team cage match.
Casey, you should write these movies, I swear to God.
Let's just get into this. This movie takes place in Central America. Not really sure where in Central America. It never actually says the exact country.
Yeah, no. I wrote down Southeast Asia in my notes, and then I was like, oh, they're speaking Spanish.
I mean, there are connections to Vietnam. Half the characters in the film are Vietnam vets, and there's that idea of American soldiers going up against a stealthier enemy. But I love films that take place in the Cold War and have absolutely nothing to say about it. Like, the good guys in this movie, one of them's a CIA agent who's doing something, I don't know, in Latin America. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. Everything's up to board with these CIA agents that we don't know what the fuck they're doing in Latin America. Do not look into actual CIA history in that region. It's fine. Go US. But yeah, it takes place in a Central American country. Carl Weathers' character, who's a CIA agent, recruits Dutch, a Vietnam vet turned mercenary played by Schwarzenegger, and his 6-man team to head into the jungle to rescue some hostages.
And the opening shot of this film is an alien spaceship dropping off the Predator onto Earth. And then immediately cut there to the helicopters dropping off the commandos, mercenaries, in the, as we mentioned, unidentified Central American country.
We get the handshake, the meme handshake.
Yeah, where Dutch and Dylan meet for the first time in years. Dylan has been working for the CIA for quite some time, and they get their mission. They're going to rescue some hostages and destroy the village of wherever this place is. Just go kill these people.
And we get briefly, as we're being flown into the jungle, introductions to a few of Dutch's squad. We get Shane Black's character,
Hawkins,
making a joke about his girlfriend having a massive vagina. He keeps making jokes similar to that throughout the film. And then we get Jesse Ventura's character, Blaine, calling the other soldiers a certain word that starts with F because they don't want chewing tobacco. Aspects of this film have aged well.
And then he calls himself a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Goddamn governor of Minnesota.
You know, I'm pretty sure that scene was supposed to make these characters likable because they're like joking, but yeah, I don't mind that these are the two that die first.
I mean, they flesh out their characters as being these stereotypical army men, very arrogant, self-centered, just kind of pricks almost, for the most part, with the exception of Dutch, who's kind of more sensible, and Dylan, who you know he's up to some shady shit.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out the fact that the governor of Minnesota says a homophobic slur, spits chewing tobacco on Apollo Creed, and then calls himself a sexual tyrannosaurus. I just like that to be known. Let's continue on with the scene.
So anyway, they go into the jungle and they run into some insurgents and they kill them. I don't really have much to say about the first, third of the movie before the Predator shows up. It's just a Schwarzenegger action movie. It's some buff American dudes going through mowing down enemies. I guess it's supposed to be cool. Honestly, it did nothing for me. There's a helicopter crash. Dutch makes some one-liners. He throws a machete at a dude that sticks him to a wall, and then he's like, stick around. And he kicks down a door and shoots some guys, and then says, knock, knock. So here's the thing about this film. This film is a bit of a destruction of 80s action movies, especially Commando. It starts out with these buff 80s action heroes going through, mowing down people, being badass, and then it has them go up against someone smarter than them that absolutely destroys them. This film, it's smarter than you would first assume. Although, kind of the problem with it is to set up that deconstruction of 80s action movies, it necessitates that the first third or so of this movie is kind of dull. It's just the most generic, bland action movie before the Predator shows up.
To an extent, I would agree with you on that. And absolutely, the whole reversal of expectations and the deconstruction of action films at the time, absolutely, that's precisely what I was going to bring up right now. In terms of the directing of this movie, John McTiernan is a phenomenal director. He really understood how to make a damn good action movie at this time. The problem is, when it comes to that first action scene where they're attacking and trying to save the hostages, the build up to that when they're sneaking up to the base, that was all very well directed, very suspenseful, very thrilling. However, the problem is, behind the scenes, once it came time to filming that action scene, the second unit director basically took over and filmed that scene. That action scene, the reason why, as you said, it was so bland is the camera work, the editing, the shots, it's very bland because it was not made by John McTiernan, a guy who would have made it not bland. And McTiernan has since said he is very disappointed with that action scene in particular because he was unable to direct it. Now, that's not necessarily an excuse. It's still in the movie and you have to judge it based on how the movie is. But at the same time, it does have the added benefit of, it starts off as a typical action movie. These guys go into this base, guns blazing, blow everybody away. There's a shit ton of explosions. explosions, and then from there, when they're faced with being attacked by the Predator, they try doing that exact same thing. They just go in, guns blazing, set up a bunch of explosions, try blowing it away, and it does not work. So you take these guys that started off as like the most confident badasses in the world, and then putting them in a situation where they are out of their element, and they know that, and they are scared as shit. So that reversal works very well in the latter 2 acts of this movie. But as you said, the first act does come across as a little dated and a little bland.
Anyway, back in the plot, after they kill all the insurgents except for the pretty one, a girl named Anna, because 80s movie, Schwarzenegger realizes, hey, wait a minute, we aren't rescuing hostages, we're rescuing CIA guys! You suck, Dylan, you lied to us! Oh, you're all expendable, whatever, I don't really give a shit about the CIA plotline. The film doesn't either, it's just an excuse to get these guys into the jungle. The important thing is that they kill all the insurgents except for one that they take with them as a prisoner. And throughout the first act of the movie, we keep getting shots of something watching the commandos. And then their prisoner Anna runs away, and Shane Black runs after her into the jungle and gets killed by something. Not sure what. It's invisible.
Yeah. As Anna describes it, the jungle came alive and attacked him. The Predator is watching them from within the trees, and the Predator has thermal vision. Little behind the scenes info. That effect was very, very challenging to get right because they tried using like an actual thermal lens. The problem is, at a point, once the external temperature reaches upwards of 97 degrees, which is around the body temperature of a human, the camera, it wouldn't be able to distinguish between the humans and the temperature around it. They were filming in central Mexico, where it can be upwards of 110 degrees at any given day. So they were having a lot of troubles trying to find a way to create that effect. And the way they did is, I think they combined the optical lens with a thermal lens, and they painted over the existing footage. And this was at the time of analog technology, so if they messed up, they had to completely start the entire sequence over again. It was a very painstaking and no doubt infuriating production in trying to achieve that.
Speaking of the Predator's abilities, the Predator has invisibility tech, and I actually think it's a pretty good effect, especially for 1987, where you don't see the Predator, you just see an outline of the Predator where things are kind of distorted, like you're looking through a glass of water. It's a very nice effect. That's a nice effect. The Predator's costume is a nice effect. Its guns don't have good effects.
Yeah, well.
But hey, 2 out of 3 sci-fi effects in this movie were good. That's more than you can say about a lot of movies.
Right, exactly. I will say, one of the things that kind of took me off guard, one thing that I wasn't a big fan of at first, was the shots of the invisible Predator, like, jumping across trees and branches and stuff like that. And it just, on first glance, and hold your comments until the end, but at first it just came across as that looks fake as shit. But then I put myself in the perspective of, again, this is at the time of analog tech. They didn't have big CGI computers back then. Put yourself in the mindset of 1987 Hollywood. That's some pretty good special effects tech to make those effects as good as they possibly could back then. So, they haven't aged quite well, but at the time, they were outstanding.
They are a bit off-putting when you first see them, but you get used to them, and overall, I think they're pretty good. Actually, do you know how they shot those?
I do not.
So they had a guy in just a red suit so they could chroma key it out, and they filmed each scene with the Predator invisible twice. The second time with a wider lens so things would be distorted. And then they chroma keyed out the red suit suit, leaving this hole where you could see the wider lens, slightly distorted shot. It's a very practical way to do this. Very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very clever. Just clever filmmaking tricks.
So anyway, Shane Black gets killed by the Predator, and not just killed, he gets, like, skinned.
That was another thing that we forgot to mention. When they find the crashed helicopter, they find 3 bodies that were skinned alive, hanging upside down.
Yeah, the Predator is brutal with its kills, and when they find Shane Black's body, only part of it is left, and they send Jesse Ventura out to go find the rest of the body, and the Predator snipes him, and we get this wonderful, wonderful cartoon explosion when the bullet hits him. It's great. But, oh no, a quarter of our cast have been killed by the Predator, and everyone just freaks the fuck out. They don't know what's going on. Is it Soviets? Is it guerrillas? Is it a monster? I don't know. Mac, who's played by Bill Duke, who is a friend with Jesse Ventura's dead character, freaks out and he just picks up a minigun and fires into the jungle screaming for like 30 straight seconds. And everyone else fires, just unleashing so much gunfire into this jungle to a ridiculous extent. And then we're just left with shots of their barrels out of bullets as they're breathing. And they have not killed what they were shooting. Oh shit.
Again, that reversal of expectations fits very well, mostly due to this scene. The effects of them, like, mowing down the trees, that was all done practically without the use of actual bullets. I think they used, like, some type of explosive wire to just blow up, like, yards of those trees and foliage. Yeah, we find our characters are badass, one-liner spitting action kick-assers. We find those guys so scared out of their minds, they can't take their fingers off the trigger of their gun even after they run out of bullets.
And I will note, the real standout in this movie for me was Bill Duke as Mac Elliott. He gets some really good moments, like, as we said, the minigun firing into the jungle and then just being terrified as the barrel slows down. And also before that, when his friend dies, he shares a drink with the corpse, then leaves his flask on the body. There's some really nice stuff from Bill Duke in this movie.
Yeah, he has to portray a wide variety of emotions here, and he successfully does it. He's a good actor.
So the mercenaries head out in the jungle to confirm their kill, but they don't find the body. Anna finds some green blood because alien, but there's no body. Oh fuck. And meanwhile, the Predator performs surgery on itself, like, because it got shot in the arm. It, like, pulls out a science needle and patches up the wound.
And they can hear it screaming. And that was actually the first scene we actually get a good look at the Predator in this. Yeah, sure, he's still wearing a mask, but before that, we saw some shots of its hands. We saw it grabbing that dead scorpion through the thermal vision. We saw, like, its hand grabbing at something without that. And so you're slowly, progressively getting more of an idea of what this thing actually looks like. And it's an incredible design. It's terrifying. There's shots later on that we'll get to when it finally takes off its mask. And I don't know if you had the same feelings, Casey, but that scene where Dutch was like, "I'm here, kill me, I'm here." That look the Predator gives him, like, it's death staring him from like a meter away. That is terrifying. The thing looks fucking freaky.
I think the Predator has a great design. That metal mask, the body armor, the hands that are just claws, the dreadlocks, which it's weird that it has mammalian features and also weird reptile and bug stuff. It's pretty cool design.
It's very good.
Before it takes its mask off, I have mixed feelings on the mouth.
That mouth was actually James Cameron's idea. What do you think is better, the Xenomorphs design or the Yokja design? That's how you pronounce them, right?
Right. That's what they called them in later movies.
What do you think is better, the Xenomorph design or the Yokja design?
I'm gonna go Xenomorph. It's more inhuman. There's those amazing shots in Alien where it's just blending in to the background as it's stalking. I like it a lot more. The Predator being more human, though, does work in this movie because it's a game hunter. It's not this monster like the Xenomorph. It's an intelligent, human-like thing that's just a dick. That's not the best way to phrase it, but yeah, that's what the Predator is. He's just a dick. He's here to hunt people for fun.
I agree with you. I think of the two, I would have to say the Xenomorph design, but that's just because as a monster, H.R. Geiger, I believe that's who designed him, just as a creature and a monster and an alien, it's so brilliant, so unique. And it's just incorporated so well into that movie. At the same time, I say the exact same thing about the Predator's design in this film. However, I think just due to the sheer originality of the Xenomorph design and how they incorporated it into that movie, I would probably agree with you that the Xenomorph has a superior design. But for me, not by much.
So anyway, late at night, they set up traps all around their camp to catch the Predator if it comes for them. And then a boar triggers the traps, and Mac just guns it down because he's terrified. And during this confusion, the Predator just walks into their camp, steals a corpse, and walks out.
Yeah, also, one thing that happened right as they were setting up all the traps, well, we get a lot of shots of these huge, buff, muscly, sweaty men pulling down trees, lifting rocks and logs and shit, and it's badass. But we also get one thing that we haven't mentioned yet. There's so many just over-the-top badass lines in this movie. Like at one point, at the beginning, Blaine, the Minnesota governor's character, after they quote-unquote save the hostages from the insurgents, I think it was Shane Black's character, Hawkins, comes up to him like, "Hey man, you're shot, you're bleeding." And he goes, "I ain't got time to bleed."
And later on, like, after Anna finds the monster's blood, Dutch is like, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Yeah.
They have badass one-liners. They still die horribly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man. We're all gonna die. And then he walks away. That was Billy, the one Native American character in this entire movie.
Oh yeah, can we talk about Billy, their scout, who, like, can sense there is something wrong. Like, he's a bit stereotypical. That's great. Yay.
Also, one more thing. There is a line that Anna tells them about how when she was a little girl, there was this urban legend of a demon in her village, or where she lived, and she calls it the demon who makes trophies of man. Holy shit.
Also, like, is the Predator just attacking this small, unnamed Central American nation all the time? Like, it's a big globe. Attack someone in England or Libya or the Philippines. I don't know. I'm saying random countries, but why you gotta come here so many times, dude? I mean, in the sequel, they go to LA.
Yes. And in the sort of sequel kind of reboot, Predators, they're not on Earth. They're on the Yokja's home planet, where they're collecting a bunch of people and hunting them as part of like a celebration or whatever.
That sounds cool, but everything I've heard about that movie doesn't.
Yeah, it's not. But the point is, the sequels go much more into, like, the culture and customs of the Predators. I don't know, none of them are as good of movies as these. They set up a bunch of traps. A giant boar sets them loose. The Predator sneaks in and steals the corpse of one of their fallen friends. They figured, oh, where's Anna? She probably ran off because she's been trying to escape this entire time. But after she saw the Predator kill Hawkins, she refuses to leave the campsite because she is going to get killed by this giant 7-foot fucking alien monster. And that's understandable.
The Predator attacks again. It sets off one of the traps and it hits one of Dutch's men instead. Oops. Mac charges out into the jungle to get revenge on the Predator, and Carl Weathers' character, Dylan, goes after, even though Dutch says, you're gonna fucking die, and he says, yeah, I know, but I might get even with it. And both of them die. Mac gets shot in the head and his brains explode, whereas Dylan
Gets dismembered.
actually has a bit of a cool fight with the Predator where he keeps fighting even after he gets a limb blasted off. Like, that was cool. But yeah, they both die horribly.
I will say, the violence in this movie is very creative and very in your face. Like, Mac, he gets shot in the head by that, what has now since become an iconic image of the 3 dots scope on there. He gets shot in the head, and his entire skull worth of blood spews onto the camera. And Dylan, he gets his arm chopped off and then stabbed through the chest and lifted up into the air. This movie's got some very creative violence.
So anyway, the Predator keeps hunting them as they're running to get to their extraction helicopter so they can leave. Billy, the stereotypical Native American, stays behind to duel the Predator one-on-one, and he for some reason cuts a big gash across his chest, and then he dies off screen, presumably, because we see his corpse later. The Predator snipes Dutch in the arm, which he isn't really hurt by, even though that gun destroys everything else it destroys. Also, Poncho is finished off. Dutch tells Anna, hey, you're an unarmed female civilian. It's not really hunting you. Just leave. Go to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper!
And leave the Predator to me. And then he falls off a cliff into a waterfall.
And then the Predator just jumps in after him. Like, god damn, does this thing not stop? Dutch survives the fall and crawls up onto the riverbank and, covered in mud, sees the Predator after its camouflage is malfunctioning. The Predator just walks away. It can't see him because he's covered in mud. Which, I don't know if that's scientifically accurate, just covering yourself in mud.
Honestly, being covered in cold river mud while you're in the 100-degree jungle, that would actually probably make him more visible in real life. Because he'd just see this blue spot on the Predator's red vision.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the most scientifically accurate. Then again, it's Predator, so what are you expecting?
So this film can be very cleanly divided into 3 chunks. There's the dull commando bullshit. There's them being picked off one by one by the Predator. And then there's the actually really good part of the movie, where Dutch makes a bunch of Stone Age weapons so he can take on the Predator. He crafts a bow, he sets up traps, he covers himself in mud, and then he screams so the Predator comes to fight him at night.
Yeah, that whole confrontation was badass, my guy.
Yeah, he shoots the Predator with grenade-tipped arrows. He hides from the Predator on a tree, and the Predator crawls right over him because it can't see him. It's a pretty cool scene. It's the best part of this movie.
Right, absolutely. And one thing that I think is very underrated about this movie, and it's such a small, seemingly insignificant detail, but it's the one where right after he tells Anna to get to the chopper, there's this huge blast of the music, and he crawls through the jungle. And right there, that to me signifies like, all right, it's just Dutch versus the Predator. It's 1v1, their battle commences. Gave me goosebumps, honestly. Dutch makes a bunch of weapons, sets a bunch of fires, sets a bunch of traps, covers himself in mud, and shouts into the jungle, telling, hey, come on, bitch, come and get me. And he comes and gets him. And they fucking fight. And it's also made ever the more apparent the Predator's design and casting change was made a lot more impressive, seeing as though the fact that the actor who played the Predator in the suit is over 7 feet tall and able to make Arnold Schwarzenegger look small in comparison.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit of the problem with Jean-Claude Van Damme when he was cast. He's 5'9". He's shorter than all the people he's supposed to be towering over. Also, Jean-Claude Van Damme is 5'9"? Like, I just learned that, like, reading about this movie's development. Like, I'm taller than Jean-Claude Van Damme? I thought he was, like, as big as Schwarzenegger.
I mean, Tom Cruise is what, 5'7"?
Yeah, but everyone knows that Tom Cruise is short. ultimately, Dutch, even with all of his planning, gets his ass kicked by the Predator. The Predator takes off its mask and throws away its gun so it can just punch him hand to hand, and it kicks its ass. Also, what's your opinion on the Predator's face?
I think it looks badass.
I think the mandibles look dumb. I'm gonna be real. I don't think they're intimidating. It just makes it look like it's making an awkward face.
I respect your opinion, but personally I think it's fucking badass.
But anyway, the Predator just pummels the crap out of Dutch, and Dutch, gets thrown right next to a trap he set up. And he, shouts, "Hey, Predator, come near me! Kill me! I swear there isn't a trap! Just take 2 more steps, everything will be fine."
And the Predator immediately, brushes off the leaves and looks, "Oh yeah, you put a bunch of knives here. Alright, I guess I'll just go around." And he does.
Ends up working because the counterweight to the trap is right over where the Predator walks around, and it falls and it crushes the Predator. Success, I guess.
I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know how that fits in this scenario, but I don't know. It worked. So the Predator is spitting up green blood all over itself, and it stares up at Dutch. It starts speaking to him, kind of.
Yeah, using recorded voice clips of his dead friends. At one point he says, "What the hell are you?" And it just plays back a recording. "What the hell are you?"
But you also hear the Predator itself is gurgling, "What the hell are you?" Kind of. It's gurgling, but if you look enough into it, listen hard enough, you'll hear it. That's what it's trying to say. So it's more evolved. This creature is very intelligent, very evolved, and very intimidating.
Dutch, picks up a rock to, slam on its head and kill it, but after seeing that it's helpless, it's just crushed, he tosses the rock away. Then that douchebag Predator just decides to self-destruct. Fucking sore loser. You're less cool than Dutch now, Predator.
And as Dutch is running away, he takes his sweet-ass time realizing that that thing is a bomb attached to its arm. He's running away. The Predator is giving a very haunting and human-esque laugh. And he just nukes himself. And Dutch was able to escape a nuke, I guess. Good for him.
I mean, it wasn't that big of a blast, I guess.
It's big enough to signal the chopper to go pick him up down there, which, another fun fact, the pilot of that chopper is the guy that was in the Predator suit.
Actually, now that I think about it, because you see Anna in the helicopter, why did they pick her up? She's an enemy insurgent. They're looking for the guys they sent to kill her, then they find her and they're like, "Oh, okay, you can come along, I guess."
Because it's the same reason they took her prisoner, because she woman in 80 action movie.
She isn't even, love interest. She's just there.
She's just woman.
And honestly, that, as this film closes out, brings us to kinda bit of a problem with this film. The characters aren't that great. A lot of them are very, very flat and bland. I will say Bill Duke, Carl Weathers, and kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger, although he, of course, brings that Schwarzenegger cheese, do manage to make the characters likable just by giving really, really good performances for these very flat characters. But overall, I don't know. I don't really care when these guys die because they're flat characters.
They really are.
Oh no, Poncho got shot. Poncho. Remember all that stuff we said about the depth and intrigue of Poncho?
I mean, I think they all have enough charisma to carry a film and at least make it interesting in the moment. But, I don't know, the characterization isn't really that great. Schwarzenegger gives, I think, one of his best performances in this movie. Carl Weathers, again, as usual, is fantastic. The guy who plays Mac, I already forget his name, he does a really good job. And I think everyone does a good job in terms of the acting itself. It's just the characterization for most of the mercenaries has some to be desired. That said, I still really appreciate this movie for what it did in terms of changing people's perception of action cinema, melding sci-fi, horror, and action together in one film, as well as having some, what I think are pretty damn great special effects and designs and animatronics for the Predator and the surrounding production design, the environment. I think, especially for the time, this movie was very important and very influential. And it sucks that not a single Predator movie since then has reached the same heights as this. You know, it's very unfortunate. I feel like there's so much potential for the Predator franchise, but nope, the only really good one is this. That said, I do still think this is a damn great movie.
Well, they're making a new one called Skull, because it's that trend they have right now where they reboot a franchise, but they give it a different name. Like, for instance, the Saw movie called Spiral. Like, why are they doing that now? That's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm glad that the guy who made Pineapple Express is the one making this. I'm pretty sure that's the guy. David Gordon Green, or whatever.
Oh. Yeah, you know, I'd say the guy who eventually made Die Hard, that's the type of guy who directed this, and that was good. But yeah, Pineapple Express, it'll be good. Actually, yeah, I don't know. Like, what was that movie I saw recently that was directed by the guy who made the Hangover sequels that was really good?
Joker. Todd Phillips.
Okay, yes, he made that, but there was something else. What am I thinking of?
Chernobyl,
yes! Like, I don't know, sometimes directors surprise you with how good their stuff is. Chernobyl was made by the same guy who wrote the sequels to The Hangover, and that's shocking because that is a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
And those movies aren't.
Right.
But anyway, The Predator, Riley, overall, after everything we've said, what are you gonna score this thing?
I think this is a very impressive action horror sci-fi movie, especially for the time. It has incredible special effects for the time. Great action for the most part. There's a few scenes where the editing and the shot design, the cinematography isn't as good, but that's because John McTiernan wasn't directly involved in that. This movie's just the definition of badass. And overall, I think it was very important to action cinema. McTiernan really knew how to make action films and especially make them differentiate from typical action films at the time. I think the design of the Predator is incredible, and I think this movie's just a damn good time. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm a big fan of it. I think as a film, Die Hard is probably better, but this one's still a great time.
Yeah, it's no Die Hard. I'm going to be honest, I was kind of underwhelmed by it. Like, I think The Predator is a good movie monster. I just don't really have any love for the people it's fighting against. And like I said, the first third of this movie is just incredibly dull. Like, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Like, I like elements of this movie. I just overall don't think it works as a whole.
Okay.
It gives us a good villain, though. And, you know, even if the movie's bad, if it gives you a good villain, the sequels can make that villain work by putting in new Oh no.
Here's what I'll say. I'll give them credit for the first sequel, at least, trying to do something different. It taking place in LA in the future with a gang wars and completely new characters and new situations. I give them credit for that. And there's a scene in the sequel where the Predators hand the main character, played by Danny Glover, like a flintlock pistol from the 18th century, saying like, hey, you bested one of our hunters and this is your prize. And the writers of Predator 2 actually pitched an idea for a film, a third installment into this series, in which it would take place in colonial times in America when the Predator attacks people then, and seeing how people during colonial times would handle something like that. Again, I give them credit for at least initially trying to do something different. But ever since then, people are just like, oh yeah, for Predators, let's just literally remake the entire first movie, only instead of a charismatic Arnold Schwarzenegger. We have a surprisingly ripped Adrian Brody.
Actually, I'm pretty sure they made that scrap movie idea into a comic that apparently is really, really good. Also, speaking of comics, there have been so many Predator crossover comics. The Predator versus Batman, the Predator versus Tarzan, the Predator versus Archie for some reason.
I hope to God it's the CW Riverdale version of Archie so that he can kill all those whiny bitches on that show, because I fucking hate that show.
Honestly, the amount of people that have gone to the comic version of Riverdale is insane. There's a story titled Archie versus the Punisher or something like that, where the Punisher goes to Riverdale to murder a criminal who happens to look identical to Archie. Archie comics are fucking wild.
Anyway, and this is one of the rare instances where I really like a movie that Casey doesn't, you know?
It is one of three, the others being Justice League 97 and Rocky 4.
Okay, I did not like Justice League 97. Throwing that out.
Okay, I hated it more. How about that?
Yes, like you hated it, I just thought it was forgettable. And Rocky 4. Oh, what about Howard the Duck? I loved Howard the Duck.
Did I give a worse score to Howard the Duck? I don't remember.
I don't think you did, but I had a great time with Howard the Duck, and you hated the experience.
Yeah, it was 3 versus 2, and with different weights and averages. Yeah, that's worse. Although there are films that I like a lot more than you, like The Amazing Spider-Man, Death Note, Riccio. I'm not making myself sound good by bringing up these films that I don't even like, but that you don't like. The New Frontier, that's the one that I will stand by that I like a lot more than you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll continue this conversation a lot more next week, because if I'm not mistaken...
No, we won't.
No? What's next week?
Next week we're watching X-Men 2.
Well...
The week after that we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah, well, we'll continue this conversation in 2 weeks, because next week we're reviewing X2 United, the sequel to the X-Men film from 2000, X2 United.
God, that's a bad name.
Yeah, why can't they just call themselves X-Men 2?
I don't know.
If you want to hear more from this show, you can follow us at Silver Age Silver Screen on YouTube, where we post full videos. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Silver Age Silver Screen, where we post a lot of updates to the show, as well as a lot of just bonus content on there. You can find me, Riley Thorpe, on YouTube, where you can check out my short films, Pizza Face and Silence of the Karens. And you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Riley James Thorpe, where I post updates to the show on Instagram and a lot of really fun, hilarious content on both of them. Casey, what about you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jarmes Casey, JarmesCasey. I post all of the many things that I do on there. I had a video essay a few months ago called Politics of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is it too late to keep talking about that? I don't know. I have a book coming out in a few weeks called Double Elimination of the Machine. I got lots of stuff. Check out my Twitter where I talk about all my stuff. Anyway, we'll be back next week, assuming we don't
have our skulls ripped out.
Anyway, we'll be back next week, assuming the CIA doesn't trick us into murdering people in Latin America. And as always, I'm Casey Jarmes.
And I'm Riley Thorpe.
And hey, it's just a movie. Don't lose your head over it, especially not to a ladder.